Hey beautiful, how are you today? It's so good to see you again, back on our 11 a.m. Productivity Facebook Live. I'm Suzanna Kaye, owner of Spark Organizing, and I also am the creator of the 365 Project. And I'm so glad that you could join me yet again. So, have you got more ideas than you have time to do them? Do you ever find yourself worrying about forgetting any of your ideas or losing them before you even have time to implement them? And how do you capture all of your amazing thoughts and ideas that you know are going to be something someday, but you don't have time for right now? Well, if you're like me, then you probably have more ideas than time to ever do them. My brain is going all the time. I'm constantly coming up with productivity concepts to share, organizing tricks that I want to tell people about, blog articles to write, videos to record, products and books, and so much more. There's no way I can complete them all, but I don't want to let go of the idea because I do hope with a lot of them to be able to use them one day. So I find one of the most essential things in my business is to capture all of these ideas and great notes that I take on things and be able to retrieve them super easily so they don't get lost and I can find them when I need them. That's the most important thing to me as a content producer and creative writer and sharer of ideas. These ideas to me are precious. So that's what we're talking about today. These are my 3 favorite apps. One of them is kind of part app, part notebook that I use in order to capture all of those great ideas and plans and strategies and notes that I take, capture them all in one place and make them easy to retrieve. Now, if you don't know me and you don't know about the 365 Project, I'll just tell you real quick. The 365 Project is a chance to permanently change your mindset around your home. This is a daily email with a supportive Facebook group that is exclusive to members of the 365 Project. Now, the way this works is this daily email either gives you a task that you can do very quickly to help get your home more organized, or an organizing concept, or a thought that will help change your mindset. And the idea is that if we think about these things on a daily basis, eventually our mind starts to automatically think this way, and it changes the actual structure and habits within our mind to create more organization in our life with very little effort. And that's why I created the 365 Project. So if you wanted to hop on over to my365project.com, you can find out so much more. Right now you can get the rest of April for free if you sign up and join us, and I will see you there. Let's dive in to how to rein in your amazing ideas so they don't get lost and you can find them when you're ready. Now, there are 3 concepts that I want to cover today, and each of these apps is great with these concepts. First off, defining your storage spaces. Second, quickly saving your handwritten notes. And third, sharing and collaborating with others. And if you stay until the end, I have a bonus for you with some of my favorite apps that I'll share. I mentioned number 1, defining your storage spaces. What this means is a lot of times we have too many places that we're storing these ideas, and half the battle is figuring out where in the world we have them anyway. You might be good at getting them to digital and saving them to maybe the cloud servers, but which one, right? Is it in Dropbox? Did you write it in your reminders? Is it in Evernote? The key is to find one space to capture all of that specific type of idea. So for me, for example, blog articles, any of my 365 content that I have written, checklists of things that I need to either adjust or that I want to do, lists of ideas, websites, photos and screenshots, all of these I capture in Evernote. Now, I use Evernote simply because of the vast array of things that it can store so easily with just a few hits of the button on my phone. And I'm a fast mover. If it's not super easy, I'm not going to do it. I won't complete the task. So I use Evernote, and the way that I use it, like I mentioned, I use checklists a lot. Evernote has the checklist option where you can just tap to complete and add the little check mark to the box So some of my checklists include everything from my packing lists that I use maybe once or twice a year, once for camp out or if I'm going overseas. They're not my everyday packing lists, they're my specialized packing lists. I also use it, as I mentioned, as I'm setting up a program, maybe something like a course like 365. I have a list of the different areas of the course that are already set up, and then the checklists underneath each of these sections for adjustments that need to be made, whether it's an update or something that's not working right or something that I'm just not really liking the flow of it or the look of it. I can add these checklists under the text, and that way I can really keep track of what needs to be done within that entire course. And that's all in one note. I have blog posts. I write out full blog posts, and sometimes I just start notes that are a title or an idea of a blog post. So when I need that content, I've already got the brainstorming started and it's already there for me. And there are a number of other ways that I use Evernote. I save PDFs and photos to it if it has anything to do with a product or a book or a course or a blog article. I save the links to all of my Lynda and LinkedIn learning courses so that I can quickly grab them and share them online. So I've got my list of links and my list of ways to contact me with Facebook links and LinkedIn links, because there's so many ways to contact people these days, right? I don't necessarily know off the top of my head what the link is for my LinkedIn profile. So if somebody wants to know that, I can hop over to Evernote on my phone, copy it, send it right then. It's just so much easier. And within Evernote, one of the nice things is it is structured kind of like a notebook, where you can have sections, and within those sections, you would have notes. So just think about maybe your high school notebook that you would have, and you have maybe a math class. And within your math section of the notebook, you'd probably have notes on the algebraic formula that you learned that day would be a note. You might have a note on how to process long division. You might have a note on addition. And all of these different notes all fall under the category of math. And what's even better than that is that you can tag all of these notes to make them easy to find, which is just keywords. Those tags are keywords. So whatever you're looking for, a simple search can pull it up for you even faster than going to the notebook a lot of the times. And you can share things within Evernote, all of those great types of things. It's just a super, super easy, awesome program to use. When you first start, it might feel a little clunky because you have to learn kind of their terminology and where things lay, but it's really not that hard to learn. Just start with the basics. Don't try all the best bells and whistles at the beginning. So I say start with creating notes and using really strong tags. And if you have those two things down, then you're going to be off and running immediately. And later you can get into organizing into notebooks and adding locations and links and images and all the attachments. You can do all that later, once you've gotten off the ground and running with just creating notes and adding the tags. That's all you really need to know, because if you've got strong tags with your notes and strong note titles, you can title your notes as well, then a keyword search will find anything for you immediately. A lot of times I like to use some of the tags like idea or product or blog or organizing versus productivity. So it will either be an organizing tag or a productivity tag, since I talk about both. If it's part of a program or a course, then I would do something such as 365, if it's part of the 365, and you can do multiple tags. So I'm constantly tagging everything in Evernote, and I use it so much, and I share it with my administrative assistant who also helps me. So that is just the basic overview of Evernote. Now Evernote, you can find it in the App Store. Their basic version is free. It looks like this. Let's see if I can get it without too much glare. So that's Evernote. And a couple screenshots of Evernote. Let me find them. You can even have it search your handwriting. So you can have a note with handwriting and it can do the search within that. You can create notes within with images, links. Like I mentioned, there's bullet points and there's check boxes you can use. And then also within Evernote, let's see if I can find the other picture. Google Photos was not loving me this morning, and it's one of my favorite apps, but every once in a while we have a bit of a disagreement, me and Google Photos. We always get over it though. So I'm sure that we'll get over it by the afternoon. But there is another screenshot of how a note can look within your notebooks. So I mentioned that I use notebooks within it. I have several of them and notes as well. So this is kind of a screenshot of a small portion of my list of notebooks. You can see that it organizes them by recent notebooks, and then all of the notebooks are below. And if I were to scroll down on that, you would see the massive number of notebooks. But I won't scroll down just because I do have some client names for client projects that I work on for productivity and organizing and coaching, which I don't want to share because I enjoy keeping people's information private. So that is Evernote. I hope that you can find some use for it. It's across all platforms. It's on iPhone, Android, on the web, on iPad. If you need it, it's there. You can upgrade to their Plus version or higher. It starts at like $35 a year for the Plus version, and that just gives you more storage if you run out of storage. They give you a lot to start with. But if you run out, then there's more storage available, offline access to your notes, so you don't necessarily need to be connected to Wi-Fi to access them. So there are some perks to the higher versions, but they're not necessary. You can totally get away with just the basics. Sorry, my little dog is here. So that's Evernote. And hi, Anselm. I see that you actually have been using Evernote for 9 years now. I have to open up the comment a little bit further. It's become your second brain. Mine too, right? It's kind of my external hard drive for my head. It's where I drop everything that I'm not working on right now in one section, and I store those ideas for later. I actually have one whole note, I will admit. I have one whole note just for inventions that I come up with. You know, when you're walking around and you realize, oh, it would be nice if there was a product that would do this. Well, I have a whole list of that. And my inventions list is within Evernote. So it is my second brain. It's got my external archive files and it's got my active files. So glad that you could join me and that you enjoy Evernote too, because I know a lot of people really enjoy that one. The next one that I want to talk about is half app, half notebook. So it's called Rocketbook. Let me pull up. This is what the app portion of Rocketbook looks like. Now the app is free, but the notebook that goes with it, they start at $12. So you can get one for $12. That's just a one-time use notebook, or I think it's like $35 or so for a reusable notebook. If you've seen my YouTube video on how I use my Rocketbook app notebook, you'll see all of my tabs and the things that I've added into it because I use it for so many different things. For example, I use it for taking notes on just about anything that I'm watching or attending. So if I go to a conference, if I'm watching an online course, if I'm in a meeting, any notes that I'm taking or even just brainstorming, I do it within my Rocketbook. The reason that I use the Rocketbook versus a regular notebook, because I am a handwriting lover. I retain information better if I write it down in my own handwriting on paper, and this is similar to paper. It's kind of almost a plasticky feeling because you can wipe it off when you're done. So you just take a wet cloth and wipe off the note and restart. It uses special pens, which are good on the notebook and good on regular paper. I use these pens every day, all the time. They're the Friction pens by Pilot. I don't know if you can even see that. It's just kind of small. I love purple. It does not scan as well in purple, I will warn you. The black pens scan better, but I really like purple, so I use it anyway. But these are erasable pens, and you can use them on regular paper and erase them because they erase by, as the name implies, friction. But they also are the pens that Rocketbook uses. And you write on this special paper, and like I mentioned, you can wipe it off with a damp cloth and then reuse that page again. But that's not all that makes it special. I mean, it's great to, save the environment, not be tossing paper around all the time because I go through a lot of paper. And hopefully Rocketbook will come up with a graph paper version because graph paper is my absolute favorite. But they do have, right now, it's a dot matrix, which is close enough for me. But you'll see at the bottom, there's a QR code. And along the bottom also, it's kind of hard to see because they're very light, but there are icons. You'll see on one of the icons, I have an X. Now what this does is when you scan this with the app, then it will send it to where you've already told it to send based on that icon. So I have my list of icons and where they will send to. So whichever icon I've marked off, when I scan that page, it will send it automatically to that location. And it has a lot of different places that it'll go with. Yes, and it is awesome. Like my Rocketbook, I will tell you, my husband bought me the Rocketbook as a gift, and he's a techie guy, and he's really super supportive of what I do and wants to show his love through technology. A lot of the time though, I don't necessarily want to go more tech with things like a notebook. I was very happy with my notebooks and paper and my PDF scanning app. So honestly, I'm sorry, honey, but I thought it was really kind of silly when he gave it to me. But I gave it a whirl because I thought, well, he was nice enough to get it. It was super sweet of him to think of me. So I tried it out and I was addicted. This is my absolute favorite notebook of all time. I use it constantly. So my husband, and this is recorded for him, you were right, honey. This was awesome. It was a really good choice. So that's how I got the Rocketbook to begin with. And no, Ansel, you don't have to draw the icon on the page. On the bottom of all of the pages, the icons are already there for you. So the only thing you have to do is just mark the X. And within Rocketbook, let me show you, these are just some of the things that it integrates with. Let me get it where it's. So Google Drive, Evernote, Slack, Dropbox, iCloud. It'll also do like OneNote and I believe Box. You can send it to your email. So whichever icon you've put a mark through, it will send it not only to that service, but you can tell it where in that service you want it to go. So for example, I have one of my icons is for lead notes in Dropbox, because I have people call who want to get organized or have productivity coaching. And while I'm on the call with them, I'll just quickly grab my Rocketbook, flip to a free page, and start taking my notes. And then once I'm done with the call, I have all of those notes, and I just put an X through the icon and scan it with the app, and it will automatically go to my lead notes in Dropbox. So I don't even have to tell it what folder to go to. It lets me give it a name real quick, which is important because, as you know, I strongly believe in those heavy keyword names so you can search really easily. So I'll keyword the heck out of that name and for that file name, and then off to Dropbox it goes, and I don't have to do a thing. And then I just wipe the page clear. So that is my Rocketbook. And I can show you with the app. So it's just like any PDF scanning app. Just take a picture of the full page and off it goes. And then you end up with a scan that can look something like this, if I can pull it up. So you can see they have the scan. Let's turn it that way. And it's just images of the page, which makes it so easy to flip through and find exactly what you need. Now, another thing is sometimes you might not want to use the Rocketbook itself. Maybe you have a page that somebody handed to you that was already printed, or you took notes on something else. It's okay. There are two ways to still use the Rocketbook app within that. One way is you could just simply take the piece of paper, lay it over the top so that the icons and QR code are still showing. Now it will cut off the top part, so if you're doing this, then you might want to make sure there's nothing on the top part or do two scans. But if you do it like this and then scan, all it needs is that QR code and those icons. So it will still scan this page to the app, which is awesome. So it does not even have to be written in the Rocketbook for you to still use that app to get it to where you want it to go. Because there are times where I might not have the Rocketbook around. Somebody calls in and wants help and I'm taking notes about what they tell me so they don't have to tell me things repeatedly. And I have a different piece of paper. So I just use the bottom for that piece of paper. They also offer a printable version. So within the app, you can just print a piece of paper with those QR codes, that QR code and those icons, and use that paper to take notes on. And then just scan it like regular or put it underneath something. So you're not even tied to using the notebook necessarily. The notebook is super handy because you can wipe it off and you can have it set up all the time and it's really sturdy, but it's not required for using the app. So that's the Rocketbook. Like I mentioned, the notebooks start at $12 for the one-time use, and they go up from there. I think my favorite is the Everlast. They have one that you can microwave to erase, but usually I don't want to erase the whole notebook at once, so I prefer the one that you wipe off. It's called Everlast. And that one I think is like $34 or $35. And the app itself is free, which is my favorite price. So I hope that you enjoy the Rocketbook. Let me know if you try it out. Everybody that I've recommended it to has just raved about it. It was a Kickstarter at the time, which my husband's quite the Kickstarter follower. So it started on Kickstarter, now it's available. I believe it's even on Amazon now. But I'll post the link after the show to Rocketbook so you can see where to get it. And I'll post it in the comments. Finally, there are a lot of times where I need to collaborate with other people on something. For example, when I do my Lynda and LinkedIn courses, the Lynda and LinkedIn learning courses, that's when I'm collaborating with my producer. And when right now I'm writing a book. So I'm collaborating on this book with another writer, and we've got all of our drafts, and we are using Google Drive. Now, you've probably heard about Google Drive and probably even used it once or twice because it's really popular. And it's absolutely free. You can buy more storage for it, but they give you a good chunk of storage to start with. So I believe I only pay for Google Photos, but not actually for Google Drive because I'm still within their limits of all that free storage they've given me. It's available on an app across all platforms, so whether you've got an Android, a Google phone, iPhone, it's on there, and it's on the internet. So, and iPads, it's everywhere because it's Google. They're just good at being everywhere and making it accessible. So, the difference with how I use Google Drive that some people might not know about is the collaboration with the documents within Google Drive. So I mentioned that I work a lot with my producers or my book writer, the co-author of the book that I'm working on, and we use it to comment back and forth. So you can add comments within a document that you have shared and see the comments and reply to those comments and have little mini conversations about that little subject that you've just highlighted. So that's a great way that you can go back and forth until you've resolved it, and then you can click that it's resolved and it'll save the history of your conversation, which is awesome. You can track your changes. So as you're going through and making changes to things, there's versioning. So it can save old versions for you. And I'm the type, I really like to control my own backups as well. So I also will just make another new version of documents every once in a while. So I have, if there's any major edits, I just create it as a new document and archive the old one with an old V2 or V3 so I know which one's current. But also you can collaborate in real time. So the person that I'm working on the book with will sit in the office right here with me and we'll talk back and forth, but we'll both be on Google Drive in the same document at the same time, and we can highlight things for each other so we can see where they're talking about in the text. We can make edits right there and you can see the other person doing the edits, and it'll mark when they've edited, and you can either set it to where you have to approve the edits or they just go right through. A lot of times we do approve or not because we don't want it to completely go through before we both say, yeah, I like that, or let's adjust. So even though we're in the same room, we're on the same document on separate computers, really being able to see better what we're working on. And in the case of LinkedIn Learning, when I'm working with my producer, they're in California or sometimes somewhere else, but usually California. So we're not even in the same side of the country. I'm in Florida. But we can do the same thing. We will simply hop on a phone call and open up the Google Doc, and we can work in real time with everything that's within that document. It is amazing. They also have the Google Sheets which are spreadsheets that you can do the same type of thing with. You can save photos. I often have photo files. You can save documents. You can save spreadsheets. There's just so much that you can save within Google Drive. And it's super easy to share. But like I said, my favorite part of it is collaborating. If you're writing a book, there's also a really great, strong table of contents feature. So whether it's a book or an employee manual or whatever you're writing that you might need to quickly hop to different areas of the document, super easy to add sort of a table of contents on the side where you click and it'll take you to that area. So as a writer, this is something that's important to me. Google Docs is, as I mentioned, free, available across all of the platforms. I hope you try it out. I think it's really worth it, especially if you're collaborating in any way with people on documents. But also, that's a great place. I know I talk a lot about Dropbox, but a lot of people use Google Drive to store all of their different files and to be their one place for ideas or documents. I don't find it as easy for dropping those ideas in very quickly because you have to create a whole new document and file a document. It's more of a file storage rather than an idea catcher like the Evernote. Evernote just is one place where you're just dumping your ideas and keyword searching to find them. But I would compare Google Drive to something like Dropbox or the file storage on your computer, but without taking up the hard drive space. So Google Drive is my third one that I absolutely love. Now, I promised you a bonus. The bonus that I have for you, you can go ahead and text message to 44222. That's 44222. And if you send the code digital1, digital and the number 1 to that number, what I'll send you is I have a PDF with my absolute favorite productivity apps that I use all the time. And these are the ones that I can't live without that you may not even know about. The Rocketbook is one of the ones on there, but I have several others that throughout this digital series I'll cover because they are my favorites, but they're all wrapped into one PDF. Not only that with the app, but the why. So some of my favorite productivity techniques, such as batching, those are all explained in there, and the app that I use to make it easier for myself. And then I have a list of bonus apps in the back. So I've got my favorite apps with a lot of detail on the productivity technique that I use them for, and in the back some apps that you might not know about that are super, super useful. So to get that, as I mentioned, and good question, Anselm, let me show you on the screen, you are going to text to, let's see if I can find it. It is not here, but that's okay. So you will text to the number 44222. So that's 44222. Let me see if I can pull it up on my computer because I can show you easier here. And you're going to text the code digital1, digital and the number 1. So, worst case scenario, we get creative, right? I will also, just to make it nice and easy for you, at the end of this live, I will just post a link as well that will help you sign up for this offer. But this way, you know, this live a lot of times either gets posted somewhere else, like on YouTube, or gets shared by people. And when they get shared, a lot of times the link kind of disappears and you can't grab the link. So for this live, if you're live right now, the link will be in the comments. Check the comments if this is something that you're interested in. The link might still be there, but if it's not, send that text to 44222. You're going to send the code digital1. That's going to be your entire body of your text. Digital1, no space. And I will send that right out to you. And I hope that that's really helpful for you. Like I mentioned, those are my all-time favorite apps. So to leave you today, I just want to give you a little tip about procrastination busters. And this is one of my favorite things. These are the 4 things that I tell myself when I am trying to beat procrastination. Ready for this? First off, it's not that hard. If these things seem overwhelming to you or anything during your day and you're procrastinating, just remind yourself it's not that hard. Sometimes we build it up in our head. Number 2, it won't take that long. A lot of times we think that it's going to take a lot longer than it will, and we build that up in our head. So remember, it won't take that long. I'm sure I can do it or learn as I go is the third one. Sometimes we stop. We don't even start because we're afraid of the learning curve and that we don't have enough information. But really, if you just take the first step, then when you need the information, you can research for that piece of information that you need at the time as you get to it. So you will learn as you go, but you can do it. So I'm sure I can do it or learn as I go. And number 4, nobody will judge me. There are so many times in my business that I have been terrified. I mean, just starting Facebook Lives. Terrified to even start something because I'm afraid, well, what if I don't do it very well and everybody's going to judge me? So nobody will judge me is a great thing to remember because we're all in this together. We all do something for the first time and hopefully keep getting better at it. I know my first Facebook Live was not very good. And I'm sure that I'm going to keep getting better and better and better the more I do it, but I had to jump in and do it to get there. So it's not that hard. It won't take that long. I know I can do it or learn as I go, and nobody will judge me. If you're stuck today, remember those 4 things. And hopefully that's a good takeaway bite for you for today. Hop by 365 Project when you get a moment at my365project.com. I'll post that link below as well. And check out this way to easily just change your habits and your mindsets without much effort. If you only get around to reading the emails, it will still change the way that you think, even if you don't do a single action. If you do the actions, you'll get there even faster. And we're a great community of people who are just encouraging, supporting, and there's a wealth of ideas in that private group. So my365project.com, you can get April for free, and that will add on to your year. I hope that you enjoyed this Facebook Live. I'm glad that you took a screenshot of that Anselm. That's a good idea. Anybody who did not get a chance, rewatch this and go ahead and screenshot that as well, and that makes it a lot easier. I love screenshots. I hope to see you all, Anselm and everybody else, at 11 a.m. next week on Thursday, right here for more in our Digital Life series. We're going to keep talking about some apps that can change your workday and your life. I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you to Anselm. I'll see you all next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye.